Now, we have talked about the advantages of corporations and why we should use corporations to shield our personal assets. A key advantage of a corporation is its limited liabilities, limited financial liability. It is able to protect our personal assets from lawsuits, from divorces, and from all the unwanted things that that we just don't want. Now, let's consider the different types of corporations in the United States. In the US, we have three types of corporations. We have limited liability companies, we have S Corps, and we have C Corps. Now, these three types of corporations are not one and the same. They have many technical differences between them, but let us just go into let's just do a broad overview and consider the major differences between these three types of corporations. Now, C Corps, first of all, allow for an unlimited number of shareholders. This is extremely important if you have a large corporation, especially if it's public listed, and you have many shareholders. It runs a complicated business, and you need to have a wide latitude in having an unlimited number of shareholders. You choose a C Corp. However, you need to take note that a C Corp is taxed as a distinct entity. So it is taxed at the company level, the corporation level, and any dividends that flow from the corporation to the individual is taxed again at the personal income tax rate. So the corporation is taxed as a distinct entity, but it allows for an unlimited number of shareholders. Now, what kind of company usually elects to be treated as a C Corp? We are talking about large corporations that are public listed, corporations with a lot of business activities, complicated corporations. Now, if you are running a large business and you have many shareholders, the C Corp structure could be something to consider. However, you need to take note that running a C Corp involves significant administrative costs and should only be used if you don't really have a choice. Now, the next form of corporation that we will consider is the S Corp. Now, the S Corp, while being technically less complex, have a key disadvantage. S Corps have a limit of 100 shareholders at the very maximum. So, if you were to go public or at least do an IPO of the corporation, you can't possibly IPO as a S Corp because most likely you will have more than 100 shareholders. S Corps are typically more suitable for smaller businesses that have less than 100 shareholders. However, you need to take note that this form of corporation is taxed also at a distinct entity. It is taxed at the corporate level and it is taxed at the personal level as well. Now, the last form of corporation that we'll consider is LLCs, which is limited liability companies. Now, one key advantage of LLCs is that they have no limit on the number of members or shareholders that the company may have. Another key advantage of LLCs is what we call pass-through taxation, which means that any profits earned by the LLC is not taxed at the corporation level. Rather, the profits flow through to its individual members or individual shareholders, and taxation only applies at the personal level in the form of personal income tax. Now, this is extremely interesting and extremely advantageous because it means that with pass-through taxation, you are only taxed one time. Whereas if you were to operate as a C Corp or a S Corp, you will be taxed twice because you are taxed once at the corporation level and you are taxed once at the personal level. Now, given a choice, you would say, why would I want to even operate as a S Corp and C Corp in the first place, since LLCs have so many advantages? Now, you are right in the sense that LLCs are one of the most favored form of incorporations in the United States. Most people, especially small businesses that choose to start up, prefer to incorporate as a LLC because it has pass-through taxation and is administratively less complex to run. Now, let us consider in the next section how we can use corporations to a more effective way to structure our assets and to protect them in the most constructive manner.